Grasshopper too early. Before they know what they want to build, they jump in and start pulling out components. In this video, I'll show you my framework to help you get more clarity in Grasshopper before you open it. People get confused because they open Grasshopper too early. When they open Grasshopper too early, they started to think about the components rather than the logic. It forces them to think about solve the problems with the components instead of developing their own solution. They confuse the steps without the understanding the logic because they try to connect all the information in a sense blindly without paying enough attention to their end goal. And this makes their workflow really hard to remember and create or see mistakes later on when they open. So instead of pulling out or dumping all the components that you are trying to come up with the solution, you can write the recipe in plain language, like super simple language to follow. Identify the input, identify the transformation, identify the output, and then try to open. In this way, all these steps will be laid out. And if you fail to solve the problems, that chunk, you can always go back and Google that. And when you Google that solution, the knowledge will remain more than watching a random tutorial. There's a simple example that I want to follow with you. So the goal is to be able to create this. This can be a lure system. This can be a facade system. This can be a data visualization. It's completely up to you. The goal is to create of vertical elements that change height based on an attractive point. So what I'll be basically doing, I already have my steps here. So it says create a baseline, divide the line into points, place the vertical line on those points, add one attractive point, measure the distance from each division point to the attractor, use that distance to control height, move the top points up, connect each point to its moved top point. Okay, so this is what we are going to build. Maybe I can stop my screen share for a second and put the camera to my notebook. So what I want to do here is basically get a line and divide this into smaller points. And based on an attractive point, let's say this guy, I want to change the heights. So this is my sketch. If I remove the attractive point, or if I move the attractive point to somewhere else, what I'll be doing, I'll be changing the heights. Again, this is not for me to only understand what is happening. It's at the same time giving me the idea of how I can approach this. So again, maybe this is too big, but you will get the idea. So this is my particular goal actually with this exercise. So I started to sketch, and at the same time, I already have my, let me share my screen again. And let's now go back to our Grasshopper script or Rhino environment. I have a digital sketches on this just to give us some time. And what I'll be doing, I'll be taking all these steps. I'll copy these and put this into a pen, okay? Just to be able to follow this through. So I know each step. I know exactly what I need to do. So create the baseline. Baseline is already created. Let's import this in. I'll get the curve, set one curve, obviously set one curve. And the second step, divide the line into points, divide curve. I can divide this into 50 count, okay? Place vertical lines on these points, okay? So what I can do, place vertical lines. I can do a vertical line like I can say STL, line STL, take these points, put a direction. In this case, it's going to be Y, and the lengths are going to be as default one. So if we zoom in really high, we can see those lines. And it says measure the distance at one attractive point, which I already have, put the point in. oh, not this guy, put the point, set one point, and then use that distance to control the height of these lines. So I will put a distance component, connect this to here, connect this to here, and use it as my length, right? And now, oh, this is tangents, by the way. And now what it says, use that, move the points, move the top points up, which we did, connect each bottom point when it's moved. It's already happening with the line STL. And when we change the point, we started to see this happens. So that's a simple workflow that I use within my framework. And if you want to get access to this file, join my school community for free. So if you go back to the presentation, so why this helps, basically the logic becomes visible before you jump into the system, becomes easier to build. And when you're stuck at a certain step, it's super easy to Google it and learn through it instead of finding somebody else's solution and trying to plug that in to yours and expect it to work. And your results will be easier to adjust later since you are in control. You knew exactly what you did, so you'll remember easily. And you're now thinking about the relationships, not the components. Again, when you open Grasshopper too early, it forces you to think or solve everything with the existing components or the plugins that you have. So my framework is simple. You have to write the recipe first, sketch the logic, and build the system. So you have to start thinking first and then build second. If you are serious learning in Grasshopper, I have 5 spots working with me one-on-one. Book a call with the link in description, and I'll see you soon.